up, my friends? Albert, your host fishing Columbus, and today we want to talk about trout fishing. When it comes to trout fishing, it's pretty simple. I don't fly fish, but I do use spinning combos. And trout are some of the best fish you can take a young angler to catch because most of them are stocked here in Ohio, with the exception to a few of our rivers. But stocker trout, really good time to catch. So let me just show you what I use when I take the kids out trout fishing at the local ponds shortly after the Ohio Division of Wildlife have stocked. And if you saw my Instagram post a few days ago, they just released the 2018 stocking date. So we already planned the end of this month. They're going to be stocking a couple ponds in our lakes in our area, and we're going to head out there and see what type of, see if we can't get our limit. Limit in Ohio is 5 per day. So let's start off with what I use. Now this is my travel rod. This stays in my truck all the time. Right now I have it spooled. It's a Cast King Mela 1000. One of the reasons I chose this particular reel to keep in my vehicle is because in addition to being versatile, I can spool it. Right now this is a 12-pound mono spooled on here, so it's perfect for Ned rigging or wacky rigging for bass fishing in little ponds on a quick short notice. But also the Mela comes with an additional spool, so you can spool this up with a different size line. For me, I plan on putting a 10-pound braid on here because it's super thin, and it's going to have that abrasion resistance, which, if you're familiar with trout, pretty sharp little teeth. I got this paired up with the Cast King Blackhawk telescopic rod. It's a 6-foot version. This is a medium heavy, a little overkill for trout, but it does the job, and it gives me 2 combos in one with the additional spool. So I'm not going to telescope this out because we're in the truck. As you can see, it's pouring rain right now. But so I've got the 1000 series Mela reel, Mela II reel. You see that there, Mela II. These reels are super affordable. They're like $27, $29. I don't remember the exact price, but I'll have it linked down below. And the Blackhawk is not currently available, but if you ever have the opportunity to get one of the Cast King telescopic rods, it's a great investment for something to keep in your vehicle at all times. I keep this under my front seat on the passenger side, and it's always with me. All right, now let's get to some tackle. What do I use for trout fishing? Well, we approach trout fishing 2 different ways. We approach it as a catch and release, and we also approach it as a harvesting food source. So depending upon how we're going to approach that particular day, we will fish 2 different ways. If we're going to harvest and eat, we will typically use the dough balls, you see. If we're going to catch and release, we'll typically use lures such as little spoons or plastics. So let's get into exactly what I keep in my trout bag. This is all I really need to take with me when I'm trout fishing. I can put this over my shoulder, strap it on. It's got everything I need for trout fishing and a little more. So first off, on the outside pocket, what we do, this is where I happen to have an extra pack of hooks. I keep size 6 octopus hooks. These are perfect size hooks for those little dough balls, the Berkeley dough balls. It allows them still to float, and we've got a couple other packs as well, different brands. I also keep hemostats. Hemostats are key because trout will ingest or swallow those little dough balls. One of the reasons we harvest those. But this is also for lures, because if you ever caught a trout, they're pretty feisty once you get them up. They don't stop. They fight with every ounce of life they have left in them to get off that hook. So we're going to open this up now, and we'll give you a quick view. Some of this stuff might fall out, but let's cover it here, of the inside of this bag. This is everything I need for trout fishing. A little overkill. You don't need near this much, but we figure when we go trout fishing, we're going to be out there all day to catch our limit, and then when we go to another event, we're there where there is no limits, and we're just out there having fun. So these are a new addition to the trout bag. I picked these up at Dick's when they were on clearance. They're just the power bait worms, floating worms. You can almost wacky rig these, or there's also a way of rigging these onto the hook, which I'll show in another video on rigging these particular worms. But I got them in the chartreuse white, and then just a yellow color, a natural color. Well, not natural to worms, but a natural for trout. Next, before we get into this top part up here, let's go over some of these canisters. So these canisters are everything we could possibly want. We got every color of dough ball. One of the things around here that we find to be their favorite is these little power bait nuggets in either yellow. You can also get them in cheese flavor. But all they are, they literally look like little marshmallows, those little colored marshmallows. You can see that. But these work perfectly on those size 6 hooks. You can put the entire thing, conceal the entire hook on those little dough balls. And those hooks are still light enough to allow these things to float, which is what they're supposed to do. So once we rig up our rod with our 10-pound braid, we'll use 1 split shot, just enough to keep something on the bottom. About 2 feet worth of length between the split shot and the hook. We'll put one of those little hooks and one of these dough balls. Here is, we use a size 5 split shot. Big enough to keep the everything down on the bottom. Just a little packet of Gremlin split shots. And that is perfect if you plan on harvesting. You can choose your color. Some days they want the yellow, sometimes they want the green, some days they want the pink. It's really up to the fish. They'll tell you what they want. So when me and the kids go out, we'll start off with, one of us will use the yellow, one will use the green, one of us will use the pink color, and sometimes we'll just throw a whole barrage of different colors at them to see what it is that they're actually wanting. Some days they want it all, and you can catch them on just about any color you throw out there. Some of you have the dough balls where you form the bait yourself. It's just a paste, and we haven't used this one yet. We picked this one up late last year. It's a garlic scent. Here is another rainbow color one, pretty popular for trout fishing. This is, again, you can see we've got our fingers in there. You just make your own dough ball. You completely cover the hook, and this is a floating bait as well. Almost all these dough balls are going to be floating bait. Now, some dough balls float better than others. For example, the Berkeley Power Bait, it'll float the entire time it's on the hook until it starts to, unless it gets hit a couple times by trout and it starts to get smaller, then the hook weight will overtake the weight of that dough ball. But some of these Uncle Josh balls, they'll float for a little bit, then they'll slowly start to sink. So if you got a quick bite, those are perfect. If it's going to be sitting there for a while, you may want to stay away from those Uncle Joshes. Here's another one of the chartreuse green here. It's just the possibilities are unlimited with the colors that you can pick on these canisters of dough balls. Now again, those are what we use if we're going to harvest the fish, because let's say half the time when they eat these baits, they completely ingest it. So they're going to swallow the hook, and 9 times out of 10, you're not getting your hook back until you're cleaning those fish. When we want to catch and release, we use other things. We use spoons, such as, I grab my favorite spoon of all times, which is an Acme Castmaster. Got a couple different sizes in here. You got this little one here. There, that pulls around and it jots back and forth, almost like a chatterbait kind of. It's got that same type of an action. And here's a different one with a slightly different color on it. These are the 2 favorite lures I have for lure fishing. Also, you can never go wrong with something like a rooster tail. I happen to have some Panther Martins here. Bright colors. Trout love bright colors. And we're going to give those a shot this year. We were using rooster tails. It's the first time we were ever going to use the Panther Martins. And then we picked up a few other things here. These are some more Acme products. These are the Phoebe spoons. These are all things we picked up at a clearance sale at Dick's. We got several of those. We got plenty of spoons to get us through a day of fishing. Here's those other size hooks that I have there. Same size, size 6 octopus hooks, but these are by Eagle Claw Laser. And the other thing that we can use is a floating worm. Here's some chartreuse green, or just green. These are floating ones. We'll actually use these in with a one of those hooks and a split shot. So we'll rig these almost wacky style, similar to what you would use if you were using a Senko. And we will cast those out there with a small split shot on them to keep them down on the bottom and allowing those baits just to quiver in the water there. And we have multiple colors of those. Pink and white. These things will last a long time too, so you can catch multiple fish on one of these baits. These baits are a little bit bigger, so they don't typically ingest the hook when they take these in. You can usually set the hook, get those fish in. And that's pretty much the gist of it. So this is everything you could possibly need to take a kid trout fishing. Not too much to carry. Pretty simple, and hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, please leave it down in the comments below. Appreciate it if you wouldn't mind giving the video a thumbs up or like. If you have any questions or suggestions, something we should try for trout fishing, feel free to comment down below, because we're always open to learning new things. Other than that, I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. As always say, when the opportunity presents itself, get out there and fish more. Take a kid fishing. They'll enjoy it. Have a great one. Bye.